you guys have like an average install time, Mitchell book time, or anything on the regulators?
I don't have it in terms of in our description or package,
Okay.
but of course, it's based on Mitchell.
Right.
So usually, I think for experienced installer, it's going to be pretty quick.
30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Okay.
About. Okay. So oil itself, of course, some of it comes with a non-detachable motor, where the motor is actually crimped onto the regulator spindle portion. Or sometimes, of course, like I think Tim was mentioning, the motor is serviceable, so that you can only replace a motor if you want. But of course, for TYC, we try to, well, currently we are providing all assemblies, and that's been what our go-to market strategy is. And the feedback so far is also most of people prefer it that way. It's available that way. Since you're gonna, I guess, take your door apart, you might as well just change everything. And a lot of times the motor is actually mounted onto the regulator already like this. So it's actually easier if I just remove the whole thing, one less step. Because to get to a motor, a lot of time, I also have to take out a regulator.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a breakdown in terms of cable versus gear. Toyota is pretty much, it's going to be all gear type. Even the latest applications, they're sticking with gear. We have a couple of cables back in the 90s, and that's about it. Okay, and then for other makes, for some of the older specific application, usually big application, they'll have gear types, or else they're all pretty much strictly cable. Okay, except for Korean makes. They do have a little bit more gear type on the later applications. Okay. So of course, cable is more durable, but it's also this one, you can feel it when you were passing it around. This is a lot heavier. So of course, automotive manufacturer nowadays always want to go for lighter, more compact, things of that nature. So everyone's leaning toward more and more cable.
And you said the cable is more durable than the gear?
Gear is lighter.
Gear is more
yeah,
good.
the trade-off that is going to be heavy and bulky.
Right.
And also the gear, if you notice that it can only travel straight up and down. Right. So that limits your design in terms of your door and your shape.
Okay.
Right. Whereas the gear type, you can actually curve the track. So you can have a door that's more sleek, cutting and whatnot. But this is more flexible in design. So I think most manufacturers are going toward this one, except for Toyota is still sticking with durability. And next we'll go into motor. For TYC, our specialty is actually in the motor itself, the electric motor. It's similar to what we bring in terms of clean fan assembly motor and also blower motors. Okay, so motor breaks down into three major sections. There's our armature itself, so this is where the copper is wrapped, electricity flows through, and a magnet applies the armature itself. Okay, so magnetic force that is generated from the electricity going through the armature will counteract with the magnets that's lying inside the motor housing. And when you have that opposing magnetic force, is how the electric motor spins. Okay. And inside the cover housing, this is where the reduction gearing occurs. So essentially, you have this little shaft that spins really fast, and then you'll drive a big gear wheel inside this cover housing in order to generate torque on a little shaft like this. So you can move a big old glass. Okay. So a little bit about the shaft itself. So of course, the shaft is one of the key components in terms of the durability of the motor. So key of the shaft that this is a constantly rotating part. So it's very important that it has to be really, really straight. So for TYC, we take extra care and we actually essentially have a supplier that is producing aerospace grade in terms of tolerance and shaft. That's doing this for us. Okay. So of course, you also see that TYC shaft is made from one piece, and the corkscrew gears is cut into the shaft itself. Okay. And of course, at the tip of the shaft, where it's actually held on the motor housing and the end of the cover housing, it's actually abrasion-resistant washers. So that's important, because if you don't have a good quality washer where the contact point is, as the shaft spins, essentially you drill a hole into either end. And when that happens, then you have a wobbly shaft that's not tight in place, and that's how motor fails. But everything becomes loose and the metal start wearing out of plastic. Okay, and then for example, this is a competitor's armature assembly. You can see that they use a much thinner shaft.
Whose is that? Cardone or
Dorman.
Dorman?
Yeah.
Did you guys build stuff for Dorman too?
No.
No? Okay. Because that's who we'll run into the most in the field.
They're going to be the most popular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is Dorman. So this is a good one. This is a good example right here.
Okay. So for example, you can see that their corkscrew is actually the separate section that they sort of join together. So of course, when you join two sections together, it's going to be a lot harder to get that tight tolerance and that straightness. Okay. So this is a picture of the gear that's actually fitted with the screw gear. Okay, so again, so as this thing spins this way, it'll drag this large gear this way. Okay, so this is where it all fits inside the cover housing. Okay, so it reduces the speed of the shaft spinning to create torque. Okay, so inside the cover housing are also other quality components to ensure that motor is going to be durable and long-lasting. For example, the temperature control switch. What this is essentially is a mechanism that actually short-circuits itself, if you will, if the temperature reaches a certain threshold. So for ours, it's set at 100 degrees Celsius. So once it hit that temperature, it actually disconnects electricity, so it stops the motor from working, so it doesn't continue to build heat and burn itself out.
Why would it hit that temperature?
Because the window's stuck.
So
Right.
you're sitting there grinding on the thing? You're sitting
Yeah,
there
so
pushing it
the
down?
window's frozen.
So some people,
They got
for
a little
example,
kid.
they are playing the window, right? They go up and down. Window's supposed meant to be used for like maybe 5 seconds and that's it, and it stops. It's a little bit different from, let's say, a cooling fan motor that's constantly running, right?
Right.
So if you play with it up and down multiple times, or someone just hold the switch up or down and just keep holding it there even though it's not moving anymore, heat will continue to build, right? So when you hit certain temperature, it will get hotter and hotter. Eventually, something's gonna burn.
Right,
Yeah,
so
or
it
the
doesn't,
window.
it doesn't have a shut off once it hits a certain point up. If you hold that switch,
Yeah,
it'll
so you
continue
hold it,
to run.
electricity can continue to be fed into it,
Yeah.
right? So it's
And-
just stuck, but the electricity still going in, so heat's gonna
Right.
be built.
If the window's froze, they'll try to just sit there and run the thing.
Right.
And so when that thing then overheats, it shorts itself out. When it cools off and then it works again?
Yeah, so it cools out, works again.
Pretty smart.
Yeah,
Those are pretty
so
bad.
sometimes,
But why wouldn't it have a stop though? As far as like when it hits a certain point, why wouldn't it tell
because for the
motor to
basic,
stop running?
the most basic window regulator, for example, like these ones, like this one, where it's just literally 2 connectors, right? 2 connectors. Essentially, it just positive and negative, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And reverse that.
You go
up
one
and
way,
down.
it's spin one way. You go the other way, it's spin the other way, right? It doesn't have any kind of brain, if you will, to know that,
Right.
okay, I need to stop moving.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's why,
Are they the same speed as OEM?
yes, in terms of the specs, we try to make it all match the OEM. And we're able to do that because all these motors are designed and made in-house.
Reverse engineering.
Well, some people don't reverse engineer, they just...
No, because my kid's truck is, I think it's got a cordone in it,
Uh-huh.
and one is different speed than the other one.
Yeah,
That's what I was
so
wondering.
Cordone builds their own, right? Or they remanufacture them?
they're remanned or
Reman.
they also outsource.
Yeah.
So like Dorman, for example, it's all sourced. They don't make any...
The Dorman doesn't make anything anymore, do they?
They don't make
They
anything.
don't make any studs
They don't
anymore.
make anything. So I said, it's not even reverse engineered.
So that's this thing right here.
Sourcing, yeah. So other little components, for example, like the rubber damper on the gear. So again, one key to durability of motor is that we make sure that everything fits well and fits tight. It's anything that's an excessive, space or movement. Essentially, you have a mix of metal and plastic. It's going to wear itself out, and that's how motor fails.